Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 247. For this one, I play the biggest pots I've ever played in my life in cash games at the Lodge. And we're doing our Lodge Championship Series April 26th through May 16th. Our main event is going to be a 3K. It's a $2 million guarantee. I'm going to be firing in it. That's going to be awesome. So be sure to come out to Austin, Texas to the Lodge and play that event. If you've never been to the Lodge, it's just the absolute best time to be there. Also, I've got some other meetup games coming up, including at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. That'll be April 19th. And yeah, man. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let's go ahead and get started. It's the Lodge Stream Relaunch Week, where I'm part owner of the club. The plan is to play 4 of the biggest games I've ever played, and that's with no exaggeration. I have mixed feelings about it because I'm on an 8-session, 24K downswing at the moment that has lasted a few weeks. There weren't any losing episodes leading up to this one, partly due to the fact that MGM changed a policy that at least temporarily no longer allows poker vlogging because some slot streamers ruined it for everyone. I also lost 12,000 online and wouldn't have made videos of that anyway. Then finally, I had a handful of episodes already filmed coming into relaunch week. I knew I'd be making episodes of the sessions at the Lodge. I didn't want to have a 3-month backlog. I arrived at the card club the night before the debut of our new studio and hop into a 5, 10, 25, 50, 100 game in the main room to get warmed up for the madness that's about to occur. Despite doing everything I've done in the past to get out of a downswing, like study, take time off, move down in stakes for some sessions, exercise, write down what happened in key hands, and even get coaching from Nick Petrangelo before my trip, I can't seem to change my luck at the tables. I booked my 9th losing session in a row, losing over $6,600. This puts my downswing at over $30,000, which is the biggest downswing I've ever had. I'm not super concerned because it's coming right after a $270,000 upswing for me, and I'll have a chance to get everything back and more if things go well during the stream week. The next day at showtime, I couldn't be more excited to show off the studio that's been our focus at the Lodge for the last several months. Tons of long days and nights went into the planning and building of the stream. Finally, the world is going to see all the hard work that the staff has put into it. I'm happy to be a part of that, but at the same time, I'm kind of worried about playing a game that's listed as 50-100 today because, for one thing, I know that it's going to have straddles, it'll play wild, and much bigger than that even. We're really battling in nosebleed stakes. Usually when I'm on a downswing, I play smaller games, but relaunch week isn't going to wait for me to start winning, and I'm not missing the first few episodes that we make. Reasons for playing include the fact that the lineups are incredibly good. There are a lot of wealthy businessmen scheduled to play all week that have done extremely well in other ventures, but aren't necessarily the best poker players. They're there to splash around and have a good time. If you run well, it's possible to make 6 figures or more. If you don't run well, it's pretty easy to lose 6 figures. And your sanity. This would be a good time to start running well again. Also, I've done really well in the past playing games at 50, 100 or higher, particularly on stream. I've actually rarely lost in super high stakes games. The last session I played this big, I came out with a nice win against Ivy, Brunson, and Helmuth in a game that was streamed and televised for WPT. Today, I initially buy in for 30,000, thinking that would be enough as it's 300 big blinds. It turns out that's the smallest amount anyone is starting at the table with. We're all getting ready to begin, and it's clear to me right from the start that the game is going to be massive. There's no turning back at this point though. Pink chips are worth 5,000 each, yellows are 1K chips, blacks are hundreds, and greens are 25s. Let's do this. To kick things off, Doug gives a nice toast, then we're on. Right away, the table wants to play the nit game for an absurd amount. The nit game is the same thing as a stand-up, but rather than standing, every player is given a red circular nit button that they keep out until they win a hand. The last person remaining with a nit button has to pay every other player at the table a certain amount of money. Usually it's around 3 times the size of the big blind. In this case, that'd be $300 per person. For some reason, the business guys decide that they want to kick it up a notch and make it so the loser has to pay everyone $1,000 each. That's more than I prefer, but I want to be a good host and it's good for the viewers to see some pain, so I agree to it. We run into some technical difficulties, which is going to happen the first day with a brand new setup, but what the stream doesn't see is that I lose the first ever stand-up game and have to pay out each player a yellow chip, so I start out about $10,000 in the hole immediately. I'm not super thrilled about it. I just got complete air and had no chance to win a hand without really forcing it. If the game ended there, I'd have my 3rd biggest loss ever about 20 minutes into the session. The game doesn't end there though. I add on for 20K more and I'm in for $50,000 total. About 30 minutes into it, Flintstone limps in from early position with pocket sevens. There'll be no limped pots. Freddie raises to 500. We look down at ace-king offsuit. The graphics haven't been updated yet to include the 20,000 that I added on for, so I've got more than what I'm listed at. We probably have the best hand. I put in the 3-bet to 1,500. It folds back to Flintstone. He didn't limp to fold. He calls for 1,400 more to set mine. Freddie thinks that we might be making a play, or at least we're not strong enough to withstand a 4-bet. He re-raises to 6,500. What the heck is going on here? Does he really have a monster like he's representing? I started the hand with about 37,000. In certain situations, I may just flat the 4-bet. I really think that we've got Freddie beat though, and I'm not worried about Flintstone having a monster. I 5-bet to 20,000. If we get jammed on, we'll call. Flintstone has the same amount of equity as us at 36%, but he's got a fold. Freddie's escapades are finished as well. He folds. Ace-king offsuit would be the best starting hand that we'd get all session, and this is the only time we got it. This wouldn't be the only time Freddie would 4-bet me light though. In this hand, Freddie opens at 300 from the hijack. We pick up the Robbie and haven't won any other hands this session aside from the previous one that we went over. I know that there are a lot of supporters watching and I want to give them at least a little show, so I 3-bet to 1,000 basically for the sole purpose of entertaining the viewers. Freddie has the type of hand that I'd expect him to fold. He has a weak ace with no possibility of making a straight or a flush using both cards, but he's not interested in folding. He's interested in getting revenge. He 4-bets to 3,300 with trash. When people are doing this kind of thing, you're just completely handcuffed if you're not getting good starting hands. I have to fold. I show that I at least tried with the Robbie. Then I get confirmation that Freddie and really all the players are doing some absurd things. The way to make money in these games where people aren't folding is to have it and make big bets for value to get paid. Without getting dealt much that's playable, I feel like I've somehow stumbled into a fight with my arms tied behind my back. I just can't do anything and have no real shot at winning. Despite being down 5 figures, I'm actually doing pretty well to limit the loss so far. The stream doesn't show all the action in this hand because there's an interview going on in the beginning of it, but we backdoor a straight to hit our first strong hand of the night in a multi-way pot. Unfortunately, one of our opponents backdoored the nuts. Freddie bet 6,000 with the worst possible hand. I figured one of my 2 opponents may have rivered a flush, so I was strongly considering checking back if it had checked to me. Freddie does a lot of unorthodox things, so I'm not folding to his bet. I make the call. Then after checking the river initially, Flintstone puts in the check raise to 20,000. Freddie folds after costing me at least 6,000. It's only 14,000 more for me, and I've already seen enough crazy plays in this session for my opponents to last a lifetime. When your stuck piles due solely to the fact that you're not getting dealt anything, it's really tough to make good, disciplined decisions, especially when a session like this is coming at the end of a several-week downswing, and most of the other players at the table are making huge bluffs left and right. It's even harder to put someone on a backdoor flush, but the way this is played, it checked through on the flop, I semi-bluffed turn, and got called in 2 spots. I doubt this opponent would be putting in the check raise as a bluff after 2 people have put in 6,000 on the river already. I find the correct fold, even with the second round of the Nick game taking place. I'm really proud of myself for staying composed and playing well, even though poker currently feels impossible. It happens over and over again, including in the very next hand, where I'll be best, and I'll be excited about a situation only for the opponent to hit whatever they need to give them a much stronger hand. I for sure ran the best I'd ever run all of 2022, but at this point, it seems like the universe is pulling a cruel joke on me to even everything out. I can no longer win a hand to save my life. We're 2 hours into the session and I've won exactly 1 time. It's not from lack of effort. There's just nothing I can do. It's even more frustrating for me because I know it's a great game. I lose a second Nick game for another $1,000 that I have to give out to each player at the table. I'm down 14,000 just in penalties, not including the rest of the money I've lost from actually playing. In this one, Freddie opens 5-3 offsuit in the cutoff. We're on the button with 9-7 suited. It's one of the better hands that I've been dealt so far up to this point. I want to play it, and sometimes I might even 3-bet it, since Freddie already 4-bet me twice with Ace-6 offsuit and Queen-Jack offsuit before that. I don't want to risk getting 4-bet again. I just flat. Folding is also reasonable. We go heads up to the flop. It comes 8-5 deuce with 2 diamonds. We've got a gutter with 1 over. Freddie has middle pair with a hand I'd never expect him to raise with pre-flop. He c-bets for 800. We're in position. Maybe we can drill the 6 and win a big pot or potentially steal on future streets. I call. The turn is the queen of spades. It doesn't help us. Freddie slows down and checks. There's a pretty good opportunity for us to go for the steal. We have no showdown value, but we at least have a draw to the nuts. I bet 1100. it wouldn't be unreasonable for the opponent to fold third pair with no draw here. He just doesn't want to. He calls one time. The river is the jack of hearts. We brick everything. If we could have just made a pair, we would have been good. Freddie checks. We have about the worst hand that we'll ever have. It's basically a mandatory bluff spot in a normal game. I go with the sizing of 4,200. I'd expect fourth pair to fold at this point. There's been betting on every street. Freddie calls though. I can't get anything to go my way. I included this hand to illustrate once again that bluffing, even in situations that seem like they're really good given what the opponent has, just doesn't work in games like these. You 100% have to have it, and if you don't, then you don't stand a chance to win. I'm completely at the mercy of the deck, and the deck doesn't want to cooperate. Let's fast forward to hand number 97 when we're dealt pocket fours with a triple straddle to 800 on. This is the first pocket pair that I've seen today. I've only won 3 hands the entire session so far, once with ace-king offsuit, once when I c-bet bluffed on the flop, and once in a flip. I raise to 2,000, hoping to flop a set. Naturally, someone picks out pocket queens in the under the gun straddle. Flintstone 3-bets to 6,200. Kuz is under the gun +1. He's the double straddler. He has jack 4 suited. He puts in the cold 4-bet to 80,000 with the Robbie. You may be thinking that he only has to worry about losing a maximum of $50,000 to cover me, but that's not true because the triple straddler who's in between Kuz and I started the hand with 83,000. Freddie folds though. I'm not going all in with fours for that price. I fold. Flintstone finds the call and is in tremendous shape. It's a pretty funny situation that gives you guys a good glimpse at the wild circus show that this session has become. Guess what? Jack 4 doesn't win. They run it twice, and Pocket Queens gets a double up to win a $60,000 pot. It's hard to find a better game than this. If we can just run well, we can turn the session around and still win 5 or 6 figures. It legitimately doesn't seem to be in the cards as people continue to drill whatever they need, whenever they need it. I'm pretty sure that there's some kind of curse on me. 30 hands later, Barry raises to 500 from under the gun. Kuz makes a pretty standard call here with King 4 offsuit from under the gun +2 if he were playing blind. Given that he's not playing blind though, solvers mostly mix in folding and folding. We pick up ace 9 suited in the cutoff and 3-bet to 2,500 while the third Nick game is going on. We've upped the price you have to pay to everyone. If you lose, you have to give each player $2,000 because why not make it 20 times the size of the big blind? If anyone is due, it's us. I believe I'm in for $80,000 at this point. It's much more than I was anticipating, but I've actually been playing well considering everything that's been happening, and the potential to win a big hand is so high that I can't justify leaving the table. Our 3-bet should fold out the exact hands that our opponents voluntarily put chips in the middle with so far, though I don't expect Barry to fold a suited ace in this game. He calls, not unreasonable. Kuz just doesn't want to give up any 2 cards with either letters or numbers on them. He calls for 2,000 more. We're going 3 ways to the flop. It comes 10-6-4 with 2 clubs. We've got a draw to the nuts with an overcard and a backdoor straight draw. It's actually the flop that I've been most excited about seeing today after nearly 5 hours of playing. Barry checks. He's got nothing. Kuz has bottom pair. It's not much either. He also checks. The action's on us. We want to build a pot up and give ourselves a chance to get out of the Nick game. I bet 3,000. There's nothing Barry can do. He folds. The action is on Kuz, and he snap jams for 24,000 effective. I call immediately because I've seen the things Kuz has been doing, and I expect to be ahead some of the time if he has some sort of draw himself. If not, I'll have outs. If I win, I can avoid paying out an extra 14,000. As it is, it's exactly a coin flip situation. We agree to run it 2 times for the $55,000 pot. The turn is the King of Hearts. Why wouldn't it be? Kuz has top and bottom pair. I'm drawing dead to a club. The river is the 8 of clubs, so we finally make the nuts to secure half the pot. We're at least not getting stacked. Let me hit an ace or a club 1 time on this next one. This is still one of the largest pots that I've ever played. The second turn is another 4 to give Kuz trips. Why wouldn't it be? I'm drawing dead to a club. If I scoop it, I'll finally avoid losing the Nick game for the first time today and at the new studio. If I don't hit a club, I don't avoid losing the Nick game since we agreed to run it twice. The river is the 8 of spades. We chop the pot. It's another ridiculous one that results in us ending up about where we started. We just chop up Barry's pre-flop 3-bet call. You can see it on my face that I'm not having a good time today. It's even more frustrating because it's the inaugural stream. Everyone else is having fun and taking down occasional pots. Meanwhile, I'm in the midst of my biggest loss ever for the first stream in the new studio at a card club where I'm part owner. to more than double my biggest downswing that I've had in 20 years of playing poker. I've still got the nip button 5 hands later when Turbo raises to 800 from under the gun +1. Barry has ace-6 offsuit in the hijack and calls because the word fundamentals doesn't exist in this bizarre universe that I found myself in. Kuz has jack-10 offsuit on the button. He calls with what's basically the top of his range. We're in the big blind with pocket 9s and 27,000 in front of us. It's down to just a couple of us with nip buttons left, so I'm close to having to pay out the $14,000 tax, which would bring my total for losing the nip game up to $28,000 today. It's almost unfathomable to lose that much and to lose the nip game 3 times in a row. Here I probably have the best hand anyway, so I 3-bet jam. We've seen some crazy things, but surely this should get through. Turbo probably wants to call with his suited ace to avoid losing the nip game himself. Instead, he folds, finally giving me a good opportunity to win my first pot in 35 hands or so, and just my 4th pot outright in 134 total hands. I've got no pocket aces, kings, queens, jacks, or 10s. I was dealt ace-king offsuit once, so pocket 9s is the best hand that I've been dealt all session. Barry isn't immediately folding ace-6 offsuit. Apparently that's nuts because I got 4-bet by it earlier. Here our jam shockingly gets called. This is actually a great scenario since Turbo already folded an ace.
No, you're kidding me!
Wow.
What is he doing?
Oh my goodness.
Is Kuz gonna— No! What is going on in this state? What is happening?
3-way
What
all
the hell?
in. Oh, there's no way Brad's
He
not
just put
survived, right?
$100,000 in.
Kuz says, yeah, calling a 3-bet shove for 27K with ace-6 offsuit is crazy, but hold my beer because I will literally raise you. He back 4-bet shoves jack-10 offsuit for 75,000 effective. I've seen some nutty stuff in my life, but there's nothing nuttier than this. This is for real money. You wouldn't know it based on how these other guys are playing though. Barry folds, so it's heads up for an $82,000 pot. I'm happy Kuz shoved because now an extra 27,000 is in the middle and I can triple up without having a third hand to worry about beating me. Still, we're only a slight favorite. It's basically a flip. If I win, this will be the biggest pot that I've ever won, and I'll get unstuck for the session, which I wasn't sure would be possible. If I lose, I'll be down $80,000, and I have 60% of myself this session, so it'll hurt badly. The only way that I can avoid losing the nip game is if I run it once, so that's what I decided to do. I'm also not in the mood to chop another pot, plus it's better for the stream to run it once as well. Here we go for all the marbles that are missing from Kuz's head. The flop comes Jack-10 deuce rainbow to give Kuz top 2 pair. Of course, it's a soul-crushing flop that completely deflates me after what's already been a rough session, after what's already been a rough few weeks. We need to hit a set or run a runner straight. The turn is the king of diamonds giving us hope, and queen or 9 will give us the winner. One time, poker gods, please. The river is another king. Kuz's 2 pair gets counterfeited, but I still can't find a win. Kuz is doing the most outlandish stuff that I've ever seen, and it's somehow working out for him. We get the results back from Kuz's 23andMe. It turns out he's 100% gamble. It's a dangerous combination when someone who's willing to get it in perpetually for 5 and 6 figures is also getting hit with the deck. I can't beat the guy, or really anyone else. If he just folded, rather than back 4-bet jam, I would have beat Barry's ace-6 offsuit to more than double up. The perfect storm of absurdity took place for me to get stacked, and to make matters worse, I'm still potentially going to lose the nip game. I add on for 50,000 more, I'm in for 130,000 total. I've never been in any game for over $100,000, but clearly this situation warrants it. If I leave right now, I have to pay an additional 14,000 anyway, so it basically just cost me 36,000 to get 50,000 worth of chips. We make it to hand 147. We've gone 50 hands since winning a pot outright. We still have the nip button, and the plan is to only play 150 hands total before the stream ends. Doug is triple straddled to 800, so we're playing 50, 100, 200, 400, 800. Barry calls the 800 on the button. Kuz is in the big blind and announces that he's all in for 145,000. Doug has him covered, so that's the actual amount that he ripped it in for. This is the same guy who jammed previously with Jack-10 offsuit and Jack-4 suited. There are numerous other hands in which he's done outrageous stuff pre-flop and post-flop. I figure to be way ahead of his range with ace-jack offsuit with 43,450 in front of me. The nip game is still on, so there's even more incentive for me to play. I make the call, and I'm in just awful shape as a 3-1 dog. With the triple straddle on, it was only for 50 times the straddle amount against the craziest person at the table. It's a pot of almost $90,000. I just want to win one substantial pot. We're 5.5 hours into this carnival, and there's been absolutely nothing I could do to win. We're only running it once. The flop comes 10-5-3 rainbow. It's as dry as it gets. The turn is another 10, so we actually pick up some chop outs if the board pairs again. It's all down to one card. The river is the queen of clubs. I get stacked once more in the session from hell. My previous biggest loss was 30,000. Today, I lose 130,000 in a game, and then I lose the nit game on top of that for an extra 14,000 that I have to pay after the session is over. Altogether, I lose $144,000 in the most nightmarish session that I could possibly imagine for a multitude of reasons, and this is just how we kick off Stream Week. I'm still scheduled to play 3 more times, including the following day in a game that's supposed to be 4 times bigger with blinds at 200-400. I get back to my hotel room and sleep for about 15 hours straight. I'm devastated and wake up to a ton of missed text messages from friends and family. I appreciate people reaching out, but to know that there are so many people worried about me, it actually stresses me out more in a sense because I don't want to be the cause of concern for people that I'm close to. Although this is a big loss for anyone, it's important for me to say here that I'm never playing with an amount of money that I can't afford to lose. I had a great year playing poker last year. I have income from multiple revenue streams, including WPT, YouTube, and a variety of other sources. I've also done really well investing, so nothing in my life changes from this loss, but I absolutely hate losing in general, especially when I'm stepping up in stakes with the cards that are dealt and the situations I kept getting involved in. I just got my face bashed in hand after hand. There's no time to wallow in sadness because we have to saddle up and play 200-400 right away. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'm out here in Cambodia actually for the World Poker Tour, and just incredible turnout. We've got the main event going on behind me. It's an $1,100 event, 500K guarantee, and I've had a couple final tables out here actually this series, so I'm excited once the vlog catches up to where I'm at in real life to put those videos together. But in the meantime, yeah, I mean, in this episode that you just watched, got torched for my first ever 6-figure loss. I had 60% of myself, so nearly 100K or about 100K of that was on me, which was very unfortunate. But you know, I just really couldn't do anything with the cards I was being dealt. I think I mentioned earlier, I didn't get any aces, kings, queens, jacks, or 10s. The entire session, I won 3 hands outright. So when that kind of stuff is happening and you're playing with a guy like Kuz, who's just great for the game, great for the stream, but yeah, when he catches cards, you're gonna get lit up sometimes, and so that's what happened. But as much as it hurts to lose, I think these are the most important episodes to put together, the losing ones, especially the big losses, and you know, I'm gonna get it all back eventually. So I'm looking forward to putting those episodes together, but I've got 2 more vlogs from the Lodge that are upcoming. Be sure to check those out, and be sure to come out to the Lodge for the Lodge Championship Series, April 26th through May 16th. I'll be out there to kick it off with a meetup game April 25th, and then I'll be there at the end for the main event, which will be May 10th through May 16th. So hope to see you guys out there. All right, stay safe, good luck at the tables, and I'll see you next time.